you all ready?
Yep.
Oh yeah, I just thought it was time to share. I was looking for it.
Take some time to share. Welcome everybody. Welcome, Happy New Year. Welcome to the Den Network. I'm Deborah Robinson, and we are live at the Den, an internet broadcast facility right here in Little Rock, Arkansas. And this is our first show for the new year. And we are excited about it. All day long on Thursdays, we have shows all day, so stay with us. But we're going to get started with a new show. And I'm so excited about this couple and the new show that we're bringing on now. I've always wanted to do a show about finances and to make sure that the network was complete with its offering. And this couple interviewed on another show, and I went after them. I contacted them, and you know what? It took them a while to get back. Really? I'm like, really? Call me back. Call me, right? Because I was really impressed with what they brought to the table, with their wisdom, with their knowledge, with their understanding of finances. And not just that, but their family. That's what was so impressive to me. So I asked them to come and be a part of the network and to talk about finances, and they said yes. So I'm excited to present them to you today. They are the Smiths, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And they are royalty, and the name of their show is We Are Royalty. They're going to talk about money. I'm sure they're going to talk about family relationships. They've got so much to say. We're going to let them do what they do, but of course I want them to basically introduce themselves. And I know that we're not just live on the Den, but we're live on the Mr. and Mrs. Smith page. So I know that you all already know them, but we would just like for them to tell everybody a little more about them, and then just get into the meat of what this show is going to be about. It's an hour full of power, so just stay there, get ready. This is one of the hardest topics for people to talk about, and that is money and finances. So we hope you're ready. Welcome everybody to We Are Royalty. This is Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Yay!
I love it.
Yes.
Absolutely. And as she already stated, you know who we are. We are Mr.
and Mrs.
Smith, coming to you live at the Den. And this is Seriously Entertainment. So,
yes.
That being said, like you said, we're going to talk about money. This show is all about letting you know that you are royalty. I know the show is titled We Are Royalty, but you got to understand that you are royalty, and we have to get back to being royal. And being royal is more than just about money. However, we will put a strong emphasis on money. It's all about you understanding that you come from greatness and you are greatness. So whatever you do, whatever you touch, be great within it. But we like to give it simple, give you some simple instructions as it relates to money, as it relates to economic empowerment, so you can take the monetary knowledge as it relates to being royal and apply it to your lifestyle and advance your lifestyle.
Yes, most definitely. And I'm glad that you touched on that, babe, because, think about the title, you guys. When we say we are royalty, we're not just talking about us.
Right.
We're not just talking about Mr. and Mrs. Smith. We're talking about all of us. We are royalty. So as you guys see, we are excited. We got a new little setup. This is pretty cool, having the microphones and stuff. And again, we're going to bring you some knowledge. Let's talk wealth. Let's talk money. Let's talk about taking our people to the next level financially. Because as Deb stated, so many people get uncomfortable as it pertains to money.
Absolutely.
I know over and over again, people get offended on my personal page when I say certain things about money. But I don't really think that I'm saying anything to offend them. I just think that some of the things that I say really hit home. And the only way to really change your situation is to change your situation, right?
Absolutely.
So it's the new year, you guys. We are popping this thing off right. Very first show on the Den in 2018. So let's talk New Year's resolutions.
Absolutely. New year, new money, which a lot of people have these goals, these great ambitions, these great aspirations that they plan to accomplish throughout the year. Not that you can't do it, but understand, as it relates to setting resolutions, as it relates to setting goals in general, you need to have an action plan. You need to have a plan to how you're going to accomplish that goal that you set out to achieve. And most of the time people will set goals but don't have any plans in order to execute, because it's all about execution. Now first, keep this in mind. Although this is a new year, we're a few days into the new year, understand that you can push the reset button anytime.
Yes.
You don't have to wait for a new calendar switch in order to push the reset button. So it all starts in the mind. If you say that you want to make a change, you can start regardless of what time it is in the year. However, the beginning of the year is a great time to get started, to go ahead and start, filling up your calendar with action steps and how you can make that happen. So that being said, many people have a resolution of wanting their finances to be better, whether they want to get out of debt or, eliminate a nice amount of debt, whether they want to make more money, have more cash flow, whether they want to better their credit. All of those things fall into most of the goals that we are experiencing or hearing from different people that we connect with. But how are you going to accomplish those goals? It's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to actually do it. So what we like to do is give people game plans to help them accomplish those goals a bit more easily, so that way they're not, stuck trying to figure it out or do all of the homework. We've done some leg work, we've done some background and some researching on certain things, and we just like to make it simple just so you can know that some of these things can be implemented immediately. So
yes.
New Year's resolutions, if you're following us, let us know what some of your goals are. Let us know what it is that you're liking to accomplish this year, and hopefully as we get the opportunity to do so, we'll be able to see what your goals are, see how we can help you accomplish them. But it all starts with knowledge. So that's what this is all about. We want to connect with you and just share some of the simple basic principles and framework to help you accomplish those goals.
Yes, most definitely. Another thing, you guys, before you just dive head first into your goals, right? Before you just start knocking out debt like crazy and opening up investment accounts and investing in all these different things that are popping up, again, it starts in the mind, all right? So if you're taking notes or if you're commenting in the thread, put in all caps, it starts in the mind. One of the things that we want every single person to do, especially if this isn't something that you've been doing previously, before diving in, pick up a book. All right. Let's just all dive into some type of personal growth, some type of motivational speaker. Let's get some financial books that we can read. Let's research multimillionaires and see how they live, how they got to the point of where they are. I feel like it needs to start there. What do you think?
Absolutely, absolutely. A lot of times I hear people say, in order to be a millionaire, be wealthy, you must do what they do. But in all actuality, you must do what they did. You see, if you do what they do, now that they've already accomplished what they've accomplished, then you'll find yourself, dead broke. But if you do what they did during the times when people weren't watching them, it's all about what happens behind the scene, not necessarily what you see first and foremost. So you got to do what they did. And most of the time it all started with knowing where you are. You see, you got to understand where you are and just have a cold, hard look at your current scenario, whether you're a single individual, whether you're married, or whatever your scenario is. Start with where you are. Yes. Understanding your current place. But when you break it all down, most people fall into the same categories. We have the same things we want to accomplish as it relates to the objectives we want to accomplish. We have the same challenges. Some people experience them differently, and we just like to talk about solutions. We don't want to spend too much time talking about the things that are bad, but like I said, you have to understand where you are. So most people really want to make sure that their current lifestyle is taken care of in a way that they're doing better than just getting by. Nobody wants to just live from a check to check, way. That's not a way to live. Check to check, to where you're banking on the money that's on the way before you can pay some things that were already due. So you got to understand where you are currently. And if you understand how you are currently, now you can take care of your current lifestyle. That's one of the main objectives that people have. People also want to make sure that their future is also in place, because when you think about it, ask yourself, how long will you need some form of income?
Right.
We will all need income for life.
Forever. So
what that means is you have to put some things in place to make sure that you have income for life. But it all starts with today. You got to live in the now. We was talking to someone earlier, and she was telling us the importance of living in the now as it relates to your experiences, but you also have to pay attention to the now as it relates to your finances, because if you know where you are and you know where you want to head, at least you have a starting point, and then the GPS system can take you to your destination. So break down, how the objectives are so important and why they must understand where they are now so we can get them to where they really want to go.
Yeah, most definitely. You have to be honest with yourself, you guys. You have to be honest with yourself. I tell people all the time, bring all your bills to the table. All right. Bring your goals to the table, literally the table, the kitchen table. Get you a glass of wine, get you a bottle of water, whatever you need to just really take a look at your current situation, okay? Because it starts with you. You have to be honest with where you currently are. So you guys, as it pertains to your current lifestyle and your future lifestyle, you have to understand that's the reason why we go to work every day.
True.
That's the reason why we work our business, is because we got to keep food on the table.
Absolutely.
All right? Especially if you got kids. All right. We have twins and they are, honey, they can eat. Okay. So, you have to be able to maintain how you're currently living. But here's the thing, and this is where a lot of our people actually lack. We are not preparing for the future.
True.
We are so caught up in making sure the bills are paid, making sure we're doing what we got to do to maintain how we're currently living, that we are not preparing for the future. All right. And it's really hurting us. If you actually research this, look at Social Security. All right. Social Security was put into place by the government, right?
Right.
If you know anything about Social Security, it's not that secure.
Not at all.
All right. We joke around. We call it social insecurity, because literally it is not enough. Over and over and over again, we see so many of our people retire and then go right back into the workforce. Why? Why is this happening? Because we were not preparing for our future lifestyle. All right. You have to think outside of what you're currently doing at your job when that job is no longer around, because you've already worked 20, 30 years and it's time for you to retire. You still need some money for the time that you are off of work. All right. That's called retirement. And it used to be looked at as like the golden days. Is that what you called it?
Yeah.
Like
the golden years.
The golden years.
Golden years.
The golden years. But sadly, a lot of people aren't experiencing that. And then you have pensions that was put into place by corporate America, okay? It used to be you work for a job for so long, 20, 30, even 40 years. A lot of people are working. And then when you retired, that job pretty much just kind of took care of you. They were still cutting you a check. You were able to live really, really comfortably even during those retirement years. Ask a millennial, y'all.
Absolutely.
I'm so serious. Ask a millennial what a pension is. It's so funny. I was talking to my sister and she was like, a pension? What's that? And I had to break it down and she was like, that's kind of cool. Where did they go? Good question. I don't know. All right. But those two things pretty much no longer work. And then on top of that, we're faced with so many different challenges as it pertains to getting ahead. We got inflation holding us back. Everything around us going up. We got debt. All right. Because again, not financially prepared. What we're doing is we're going out and we're leasing our cars. We're going out and we're swiping a credit card. We're leasing furniture. We're making payments on everything. That's just digging us deeper and deeper into a hole. Don't get me started on interest. Hello. Yeah,
that's a whole nother conversation. And like she said, a lot of times people aren't paying attention to the future like they should. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to backtrack just a little bit just so I can paint a picture. Literally, people are retiring into poverty.
Right.
So when she said that people are going to get a job after they retire, think about it. That's literally saying that they have a retirement job. That's kind of like an oxymoron. It really doesn't make sense. How are you retired, but you go and get a job? So most of the time it's because they need some income coming in so they can take care of the lifestyle that they still have, because we all need income for life. But what should be happening during the duration of working, because there's nothing wrong with a job, but just understand this, the same person you give the ability to feed you, you also give that person the same ability to starve you. So you don't want to put yourself in a position to where you're fully dependent on the person that feeds you. So you need to be using your job as a tool to get you to being able to do more than just depend on the job. And what I mean is, you want to be putting some investments in place. Yes. You want to be accumulating some assets. You want to be building a business of some kind. Preferably, that's what we choose, having a business in place. And as you do that, now you're creating some additional streams outside of the job so that you have some form of balance. It's not just the job. You have some other streams working. And then pretty soon, those investments that you made can take you right out of your job. Exactly. If you do it correctly. So you have to be doing that. Once you put those investments in place, then you'll take a look back and you'll realize, look, it's really not a matter of age being the dictator of when I can retire. See, retirement is never based on age. I mean, that's the dream we've been sold, or the story we've been sold, but retirement is not based on age. It's based on money. Yep. And what I mean is, if you have certain things in place, certain assets in place, certain investments in place, and you're getting returns on those investments, and that money is enough to where you can survive and thrive without your job, then you can consider yourself retired, because you can leave your job and comfortably still have enough income coming in to where you no longer need the job. So you want to put yourself in a place to where you're investing, and as you're investing and you're getting returns on those investments, that's what helps you overcome the challenges that everybody is faced with. Like we said, as it relates to the New Year's and the resolutions, most people have some of the same goals.
Yes.
Most people have some of the same objectives, but we're also faced with the same challenges as it relates to money. And that's every walk of life. No matter where you came from, whether you were born with a silver spoon or a wooden spoon, you still have these same objectives with money. She hit on debt. She hit on inflation. You know, and taxes is one of the things that many people overlook. If you've been paying attention to anything that's going on, whether it be the news, whether it's social media, because a lot of people are talking about taxes more so now, you'll see that the tax laws are changing due to the legislation and the things that are being passed. But this is what you have to understand. And if you understand this, then it almost doesn't matter when the tax laws change, because you'll already at least be heading in the right direction. As it relates to the tax laws, you got to ask yourself, who is creating the tax laws that we live by? And it's always going to be people who are wealthy, and also, you know, business owners or people who understand businesses, because businesses is what, you know, pretty much provide jobs, pretty much is what create the economy that we all live in. So with that being said, if you just do what the people who create the tax laws are doing, which is building businesses, creating assets, and being in a position to get wealthy, then you can automatically put yourself in a position to benefit off the tax laws, no matter how much they change, because the tax laws are in place to benefit wealthy and those who are business owners. And I know it's just, you at the edge of your seat.
I'm like burning
I know you got something you want to say and you want to add to it, but go ahead and take them away, Queen.
Yes, listen, you guys, because he said a mouthful. I'm just going to touch on the businesses, okay? The importance of being a business owner. Come on, y'all. What's going on? Why are we not building our own businesses? Why are we unsupportive of each other? Why are we, you know, why are we struggling? Why are so many of our people struggling? All you have to do is pull the numbers. You don't have to listen to us. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to listen to my husband. All you have to do is pull the numbers, okay? See what nationalities have the most wealth, okay? See where we fall. Y'all, we are at the bottom of the totem pole for a lot of different reasons. I'm going to go back to the resolutions.
Okay.
And what a lot of people want to accomplish financially. Why do you feel like you've had that same resolution over and over and over again? This isn't the first year that you've said you wanted to get out of debt.
True.
This is the first year that you've said you wanted to better your credit, or you wanted to start a business or purchase an asset. But what is holding you back? Outside of the challenges that we're already facing, you know, like we said, taxes and debt and inflation, what's holding you back internally? Okay? Because a lot of our people, we're skeptical.
True.
We don't believe in investing in ourselves. We don't even really know what that means, if it costs money. Typically, we don't want it, okay? Even if it's going to benefit us and benefit our families and the generations behind them, okay? It's so many things holding us back mentally. We have to overcome all of those obstacles. So it goes back to me saying it starts in the mind. Okay? It starts with us mentally. And I feel like 2018, you know, everybody has their sayings, you know, 2018, new year, new me, or 28 year, the year to women. I saw that. Ladies, stand up. 2018, what I say is 2018 is the year of financial freedom. Okay, it is the year of financial freedom. Even if you are not 100% financially free, all 12 months, literally every single day, you should be doing something towards becoming financially free. Okay, whether it's cutting out the eating out. That was really big for us. Let me stop right there and make y'all laugh for a second. So when we sat down and we were going through our finances, just back when we were dating, okay, we weren't married, no kids. We just decided, look, we got things we want to do. We knew we really didn't want to work a job. We knew we wanted to be self-employed. We knew we wanted to help other people, and we knew that we wanted our finances to be A1, okay? We sat down and we were going through our finances. Do you know that majority of our money was going out to eat? You know how it is when you start dating somebody and all you want to do is just sit around and eat and cuddle. All right, that's what we were doing. And here's the sad part. I cook, okay? I cook, and I'm really good at cooking. Y'all, we were literally, I was cooking every day and we were going out to eat every day. I mean, just fat. So what I'm saying at, what I'm getting at is every single day, again, sit down, look at your finances, see where you are. And it could be a small tweak, such as, I'm not going to go out to eat. I'm a cook. I'm a meal prep. I see that's a big thing now. People meal prepping and getting in shape. Do that, but do something. Don't just talk about it. We need you to be about it.
I love it. I love it. And I'm gonna add a little something to that, because as it relates to when you take a cold hard look at where your money is going and spending, like she said, it can be a simple tweak, and it can be a simple switch in the mentality. Because if you think about what you're doing differently and you just apply a different way of thinking about the same thing you're doing, then you can take yourself from being, practicing poor habits into adopting wealth habits. And here's what I mean. So instead of us or if you fall into the same scenario to where you spend a lot of money in different areas, for us it was a lot of eating out. So now if we switch our mentality and think from a wealth perspective, now we can look at it like, okay, we spend a lot of money in these areas, in these restaurants. Let's do some homework on these restaurants. Let's learn what all goes into the creation of these restaurants. Let's see if these restaurants or these stores or these brands that we spend our money with has a stock that we can buy into. See if they're publicly traded. See if it's something that we can do some homework in, and see the performance history that they may have. And now when we spend money at these stores, we're also shareholders of these stores. So if you switch the mentality, a lot of times the habits that you already practice can get you to wealth. So think about what you're spending money on, and a lot of times you'll realize, and this is something that we notice, because even though we were eating out a lot, we do a lot of spending currently at a particular grocery store. And I'm not making any recommendations, so I'm gonna just say a particular grocery store. So we do a lot of spending at a particular grocery store. We're there, it seems like every day, every other day, because it's always different things that we need, especially with the twins. And we were spending money in there, going there for one thing, leave with 10. You know how it is. You go to a particular space, go for one thing, and now you got a whole basket full of things. So we started looking into the company itself and realized the money that we were spending to buy the items within the store, we could have owned several shares of for less than the amount that we were checking out each and every time we were going there. So if you look at a lot of these stores and places that you spend your money, you'll be shocked to find out that you spent more money on a product when you could have bought ownership into the company as a whole. So we got to start thinking about being owners instead of always consuming. That's truly the problem. A lot of us are just consumers. We good at making the money, but then we're also excellent at spending the money, and the money not bringing us any additional value. But when you look at it from an investing standpoint, a wealth standpoint, now you can invest into the things you're spending your money, and now that money brings you back more money. And this is something, a practice that I thought about, but I think I'm gonna just throw it out there publicly because I think it may benefit someone. See if you can start mirroring your spending. Mirroring your finances. And what I mean is, a mirror puts off a reflection. So if you spend a certain amount at a particular area and it wasn't an asset, meaning that it took money away, it didn't bring any additional value, so it was a liability to you, start looking at it. Hey, if I spend $20 here on this trash, let me mirror that spending and spend $20 into buying something that's an asset. So if you mirror your spending, a lot of times you'll have a guilty conscience in order to get wealthy. It'll make you want to mirror the spending that you did, even if it was bad, and like, okay, I spent $20 that I didn't have to spend. Let me at least spend $20 into my future, into my investments. And by doing that, practicing that habit, I think you'll have no choice but to gain wealth. So try mirroring your finances, or looking at what it is that you're spending money on currently and seeing if you can take some ownership in the things that you're already spending on. So that way you're still doing the same things. A lot of times people don't like drastic change. So you're still doing the same things. You're just tweaking your thought process on it, and that process can take you to building wealth.
Yeah, and here's the thing, because, you know, again, you said a lot. Let's go back to us being consumers, okay? We love to be consumers. And again, another research opportunity, we have the highest buying power, right?
We have some good buying power, strong buying power.
We have strong buying power. A lot of our money within our communities, we make a lot of money. But guess what? So much of our money is going out. Not enough of our money are staying in or put into assets. That's one of the main reasons why a lot of our communities are actually struggling. So yes, we want you, you know, and you should put your money somewhere where it's going to grow. And if you can adopt that habit early, even if, you know, a lot of our people feel like, oh, it's too late for me, I'm on up in age.
True.
It is never too late. And if you have children, it's really not too late, because even though you got a late start, okay, because you still started, even though you got a late start, you can pass that down to the next generation and give them a head start.
Talk to
okay
me.
So a late start can equal a head start for the generations behind you.
I love it.
Another thing about investments, you guys, don't just jump into investments before getting some things in order. Okay, you definitely need things in order, because the last thing we want you to do is put your money into an asset, put your money into some type of investment account, and then having to pull that money right back out because you had an emergency. Another area that we really, really lack, and again, this is not just to down our people. You see that we're giving you solutions. We're giving you problems and we're giving you solutions, all right? We're giving them to you back to back. One of the things that I wanted to touch on is having an emergency or a contingency fund. All right. We need to have money that we can touch. Okay. If we were to have an emergency, okay, you have two different types of emergencies. You have mini emergencies. What we call mini emergencies are flat tire. You get sick, kids get sick, miss a couple of days of work. No big deal. Broken window. Oh, I got it. Okay, those are mini emergencies. You got any other examples of mini emergencies? I use the same ones all the time.
You know, the water heater at home going out. I mean, that could be kind of drastic for certain people, but it's a mini emergency if you're prepared for it. So things like that, you know, certain things going out on your vehicle, you know, things of that nature. You know, those are considered to be mini emergencies because it usually can be handled for little to nothing, less than $1,000, you know, can knock it out. Less than $3,000 can knock it out. That's a mini emergency.
Exactly. Under $3,000, you guys. So anything under $3,000, we consider a mini emergency. Sadly, when we work with some of the people that we mentor, we work with some of our business partners, and we ask them that question: do you have at least $3,000? And it's not to bash anyone, because again, we give you solutions. We help you to actually get that. But I always ask a person, just to, for one, see if they're paying attention to what I'm saying. I say, do you have about $3,000 that you can touch if you had a mini emergency? And a lot of our people don't. Here's another fun fact for you guys. Most Americans don't even have $1,000 in the bank that they can touch. $1,000. So I want you to think about what that means. I want you to think about what that means for a person who has an emergency, all right? That emergency now turns into stress, turns into panic, turns into a much bigger problem because you don't have the money. When you have the money, it's just an inconvenience. Okay, so you have a mini emergency. Then you have a big emergency, what I consider a real emergency. I mean, like a real emergency. I actually shared this on my personal page earlier today. People are losing their jobs left and right. I'm serious. Left and right. Being laid off. Being fired. Just out of the blue. I mean, going to work and being told, look, you got 2 weeks. We shutting this place down. Okay? That's a real emergency. that's something that you want to, for one, a lot of people go into shock. A lot of people go into panic or concern, like, what the heck am I going to do without this job? But again, we have to be financially prepared. It's something that my husband says all the time. We have to be proactive about our money, not reactive.
That's good.
Okay? So we have to be proactive, meaning we have to start planning early. Again, new year, new you, right? New year, new money, right? How about we start getting these emergency funds together? And I'll just give you guys just our example of a real emergency, because again, I use the example of being laid off and being fired all the time. Let's talk like real emergency, all right? When I was pregnant with the twins, they came 2.5 months early. 2.5 months early. Premature, okay? So think about what that means and what that meant for us and for them. 2.5 months early means a 2.5 month stay in the ICU, in the hospital, okay? Most people cannot handle that type of emergency. I just have to keep it real with you. Most people cannot handle that type of emergency, because when you think about being in a hospital with them for 2.5 months, you're thinking the possibility of no income coming in, the possibility of not going to work, the possibility of some bills getting cut off. But again, because we were proactive about our money, it was nothing. Financially, we had no care in the world. We knew nothing would get cut off. We knew all of our bills would continue to be paid on time, because we actually worked that out on the front end. All right, we worked that out. We had our emergency funds together. So not only did we have our mini emergency fund, we had our real emergency fund, which is a minimum of 6 months worth of living expenses. You need to have that somewhere where you can touch. Again, 2.5 months in the hospital, 2.5 months of no work for me. All right, 2.5 months of no work for Marcus. He went here and there. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. He didn't really go that much. He could have easily been fired. Okay, I could have easily been fired. Instead, we said bye-bye jobs, because again, we were financially prepared for that type of emergency. And when I think back, I'm just really grateful again for being proactive about our money, because when I think of other people, when I think of everyday people, if they were to go through an emergency like that, they would have went back to work. And I couldn't even imagine going back to work. I mean, after my little maternity leave was over, what is it, 4 weeks, 6 weeks or something like that? I don't even know. If I would have went back to work while my babies were in the hospital, y'all, I would have been no good at that job. No good whatsoever. Because not only that, the NICU, which is, the neonatal ICU, they're calling you, letting you know how your baby's doing, letting you know if they had any backslides. It's really, it can be stressful. But the last thing you need is a financial emergency. All right, you not being prepared financially. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I love telling that story, even though sometimes I can get a little emotional. I love telling that story about them being in the hospital, because we did not have a care in the world as it pertains to finances, and we want that for everybody. That's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about teaching financial education, is because when things like that happen, I want our people to be prepared. I want our people to not worry about that, not stress out about that. You got that. It's just an inconvenience, right?
Absolutely. And this is the thing, as it relates to that, when people are proactive in their area, when something happens, now you can allot all of your energy into what happened.
Yes. Not
figure out what you can do to help this, but at the same time you're hurting monetarily as well. So it's all about allotting your energy into the situation at hand. So what it enabled us to do was actually be there with the twins, yes, pretty much 24/7 all of the time. Had we not, then things could have gone a little differently, because they actually needed our touch, they needed our energy, they needed our emotion there. Had we had to go back to work, then it would have been to the point where we wasn't there, and that energy that they needed, they wouldn't have received it. So it all goes back to when I say you give a person the ability to feed you, you give that person the same ability to starve you. Because if you can't do what you need to do financially, that also hinders what you can do when situations arise. So if you don't have the economics in place, now that limits you from being able to be at the hospital when necessary without having to ask for permission if you can get off work because you're needed at that particular time. And a lot of times people base their life on their income. And what I mean by that is they're basing how many kids they're going to have based on the amount of income that they make. So that also controls how big or large your family grows because you're basing it on the income. See, if you get finances out of the way, now you can do the things that you choose to do based on, you know, whatever you desire or whatever is put on your spirit to do. But if you don't get those things in order, now you're limited to how big you can grow your family, the places you can travel, you know, how long you can stay on that particular vacation. So it's all a controlled thing, but money is the backbone of it. So that's why we're so passionate about sharing and empowering people, because as we create that freedom, it also allows us to break the cycle so that our future generations don't have that same dilemma. So it's important. It's not that it's all about the money, but money supports and assists with so many other things. And if we understand it, then we can get it out of the way and get ahead and doing what we really want to do as it relates to enjoying this thing called life. And kind of what you said as it relates to, you know, giving, sometimes a late start can give your future generations a head start. I love that, because a lot of times people do say, well, I waited this long, I might as well not. When in all actuality, you should, because it could still help you in your lifetime, but at the same time give your future generations a head start. And it's kind of like a race, and it's symbolic with race. You know, we are the human race, but we look at race in the form of different ethnicities and different races. But it's just like a race, a relay race that you're running. So during your run, meaning your lifetime, you want to position yourself so that the partner that you have following you is in a better place than when you started. So when you pass the baton, they need to be in a better place. And I love using that analogy because when I first heard it, it made so much sense. And if you think about life as a race, if you think about, you know, the future generations and the people that follow you, who wouldn't want to put them in a better place than where they were? Because that helps you win the race as well as them win the race, and that's how we can all win together. So understand that. View life as a race, not just from a competitive place. It's okay to be competitive, but understand that you have somebody else who's dependent on you, somebody who's following you, and you want to leave them in a better place futuristically than you were, so now they can take the race to a whole nother place. So I want you to put those two things together and understand the power that you have right now in the now. And if you delay, then you delay the position that you're putting them in. So now they got to start from where you are or a worse place. So get it all together now. It all starts with now. Don't push it out to tomorrow. Some of the things that we said may have resonated. Start working and implementing it now. Not tonight, not tomorrow, now. As soon as you know, you're listening to the video when we're complete, start implementing it now, and then it'll start compounding. And once it starts compounding, then it's a force that can be reckoned with.
Deep, seriously. You know, and when I really think back, I'm really passionate also about the future generations.
True.
You know, it's one thing for us to do it. And what was that quote that we heard about? Maybe what if your kids are not as strong as you are?
Yeah, that was
okay. We can go through the trenches right now, you guys. We can go through whatever we need to for our families. They shouldn't have to go through that because they might not be as strong as you are. We know some people on their financial journey that would sit in the dark, lights off, and they're like, oh, well, I'm still working my business. One day I'm going to get there. What if your kids aren't that strong? They aren't able to do that. So you need to go through the trenches right now for your whys. All right. This is what we call our whys. Why we do what we do, why we work our businesses, why we're getting financially educated. We're doing it for the future generations. They shouldn't have to say, okay, well, my mom, she didn't have good spending. Let me go ahead and research. And every generation, they're trying to figure out other techniques because they saw the generation before them struggling.
Mm-hmm.
It's no reason for that to happen. And I'm going to bring up other nationalities. Other nationalities don't have a problem teaching their children what they've learned. Okay, or bringing their children along with them. As soon as they learn it, they're teaching it. We see all the time other nationalities having their children working for them. I mean, it can be big stores, hair stores, and restaurants. You see their children right there learning the business, right there learning what it is that their parents are doing. And guess what? That business is being handed down for years, generation after generation after generation. So we need to think with that same mentality. What are we leaving for the future generations? And I'm not just speaking of money, just money alone, even though I feel like you should leave money. You need to leave assets. What businesses are you leaving for your children? What are you leaving to your children that, is pretty profitable, and they can take it and they can double that, or they can triple that, and then the next generation do the same thing. Now you have an empire. All right, it starts with you. You have to think about the future generations in literally everything you do.
I love it. And the reason why is this. When we're here, most people want to have some form of a legacy that they leave. Yes. But a legacy cannot be left if it's solely based on, you just being a hard worker, you work, a job and came home. A legacy is left through the memories, through the things that outlive you. And in many cases, the things that you create in the form of a business or the assets that you accumulate throughout life, those things can outlive you. So it keeps you strong and keeps you living even beyond your years. And that's one of the things that we really want to stress the importance of, making sure that you leave some form of a legacy. Will the world be better? Will your future families be better off since you were here? If that's the answer to that question isn't yes, then it has to be some things you have to change. The world should benefit from the fact that you were here. Your family should benefit from the fact that you were here. So you have to start doing some things and really taking this thing serious, so you can put yourself in a position to where you're not shooken if things don't go your way. And kind of just piggyback off when you said that people are losing their jobs left and right. Yes. See, the difference between a person who has the rug pulled from underneath them, who's not prepared, and the person who's prepared is a total difference. Most of the time people panic when they're not prepared. We were able to leave our jobs because we were prepared. But a person who I have a family member who practices the principles that we teach. He lost his job, and because he had been practicing the principles that we teach and saving and building and, investing, when he lost his job, he felt like it was a relief. He was like, I feel free. I feel like I can breathe. Mm-hmm. And now he's figuring out ways to never have to go back to corporate America ever again. But it all starts with that foundation, and it all starts back with him focusing on his why being his child, his son. So now he understands the importance of the ability to be able to be at the events that his child is having. He's not missing any of the things that he used to miss due to the fact when he was tied to the job. So we just want the freedom for everybody, because really that's what it's all about. Money is just the scorekeeper. It's the way of keeping records. But it's all about the freedom. It's all about the ability to have options. It's all about the ability to, do something based on something you want to do, and being able to say no to the things that you don't necessarily want to do. That's how you live a life worth living. So understand those things, and understand that the challenges that we're faced with can be overcome once we understand the main things that have already been put in place. Like we said, the challenges that people are facing are, they have too much debt, they have taxes they're paying too much in, and they're, paying a lot of interest, high interest loans and inflation and all of these challenges. But that can easily be overcome by understanding how to properly manage their cash flow, understanding how to build a business, because you benefit differently when you have a business versus just working a job. And that allows you to keep even more cash into your household and acquiring assets. And that gives you a different quality of life. You see, it works hand in hand. You set the foundation, and once the foundation is set, now you can build a strong home. And that's what we really want. We want people to be able to start with a solid foundation, build a strong home based on principles that work time and time again for the people who work them. Not theory, not guesswork.
Exactly.
Principles. And principles stand against any test of time. So that's what we're all about, focusing on the principles so you can apply them into your life and take your situation into getting better and really dominating 2018 like you said you would. 2018 is your year, we know. You know, 2018 is your year, we know. We understand that. It was 2017 was your year as well. But what are you doing on the day-to-day? I was looking at a quote the other day from a gentleman that, you know, always is dropping knowledge. He's always big into work ethic and letting you know that there's no easy route to success or where you want to go. You have to, you know, go through some things and being okay with the fact you got to go through things. But what he said was, you know, and it was pretty profound. He said a lot of times people look for these big leaps and start setting these goals at the beginning of the year, and they say that they're going to accomplish this by December 21st of that year. He said, but what people miss is, as they want to have a speedy, you know, successful journey throughout their year, they miss out on the small increments of time that they can utilize on a day-to-day. So what he's saying is, you need to take each day serious, each moment serious, utilize the 24 hours that you have as often as you can, because those 24 hours is what comprise and create the entire year. So if you've been doing what you said you were going to do and focusing on it on a day-to-day, no 0 days, now when December comes, you've already did some work that you're starting to reap the harvest for. You got to understand that the seed sowing season and the harvest season are two totally different seasons. So if you never plant the seeds, then you'll never reap the harvest. So you got to plant the seeds today in order to reap the benefits tomorrow and the years going forward. So what are you going to do today to make your tomorrows better? And I don't mean tomorrow like within the next 24 hours. What you do today can bless you years down the line, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, but it all starts with you making a decision and planting the seeds today. Talk to him, Queen.
And I just wanted to piggyback off of one of the things that you said. So I'm going to take it back to the freedom. You guys, it is not about being rich only. It is not about being wealthy, but freedom, once you get a little dose of that freedom, you will really feel it. I'm serious. We celebrate just small things. Some of the small things let us know, man, we're pretty free. Okay, I can bring up an example. At the end of last year, around like Halloween, the twins had there was like a little Halloween parade at their school, and we're looking around because every single class, you know, all of the kids were dressed up in costumes, but there was like, I mean, the ratio of parents to children was crazy. Okay, you had all of these kids there and not a whole lot of parents. Why? Because they were probably at work. I mean, this parade was literally like smack dab in the middle of the day. They were probably at work. And so just being able, you know, sometimes our memory is a little bit short. So you have to remind us sometimes the day before, 2 days before, hey, it's a parade going on this day, for us to just be like, okay, we'll be there. You know, for us to do this radio show and just say, we'll be there. We don't have to check in. You know, we don't have to take off for work. We don't have to ask, you know, to be off or put in a vacation day. We don't have to do that. We have that freedom. And it's so sweet, you know, and it's such a good feeling to just be able to pick up and go when you want to go. Not checking in to anybody. Y'all, we can literally be out of town and we might say, you know what, we're going to stay an extra couple of days. Just feel like staying an extra couple of days. It wasn't originally in the plans, but because we have that freedom, we can do that. Once you get a mini dose of that freedom, and it may not even be what I'm speaking of. You know, you may not have children. You may not like to travel. It can be sleeping in till noon.
Okay.
Every now and then, I look at the time like, dang it, why you didn't wake me up? You know, it can be something as simple as that. But once you get a dose of that freedom, it is surreal. It really is. And then you're really going to grind and do what you have to do and be in a good place financially to never have to answer to anybody again.
I like that. And just to kind of paint a picture of freedom, because a lot of times people automatically jump to, I want to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
They automatically jump to that as it relates to being free. See, freedom can come a lot sooner than you becoming a millionaire, and then you just build and progress, because that's what life is. It's all about progression. If you've accomplished some things, now you can get to a point to where you see a little bit further. See, it's all about, the journey. As you go down your journey, you get to a place, the destination that you thought was the end destination. Now you're like, hold on, I can see a little bit further, so I want to go a little bit further. But as it relates to the freedom, let's paint a picture real quick. If your current overall expenses equate to, let's just say, $4,000 a month, $1,000 a week, $4,000 a month. Many people live off less than that, but some more. But just use $4,000 as an example. If that's all it takes in order to make sure your lights are on, your gas, water, gas is in the vehicle, right. Rent, mortgage, whatever it is, your expenses, paying for your kids, extracurricular activities. If that's all it takes, or that's all that's required in order for your, month to be secure and your current lifestyle to be fulfilled, then think about it. Just take a step back. If you had something in place that brought you in $4,000 a month or more passively, then guess what? You're free. That's freedom.
Exactly.
Because now you have the income that you need in order to support the lifestyle that you designed for yourself, passively working for you. So if you don't do anything, you still reaping the rewards for the things that you put in place. That is freedom. And sometimes it can be done with less than the amount that you currently need. So if you need $4,000, but you've gotten debt out of the way, so you no longer have debt, that just increased the cash flow that you had. If you no longer have those interests that you're paying on that debt, that increased the cash flow that you had. You paid off your mortgage, or you're working towards it, that increased the cash flow that you had. So sometimes you can thrive off of less than that $4,000, but I want to paint a picture of you putting something in place passively. That should be your first goal. What can I do to establish my emergency fund, contingency fund, 6 months worth of living expenses, and what can I do to create some passive income, some income that can be generated that supports my current lifestyle without me being there. Once you do that, you'll feel like a millionaire because of the freedom you've created for yourself. Yes. And now you just make progression from there. Does that all make sense?
Yeah. And I mean, you guys, the twins off and on, they have just been sick. I mean, just like fevers and stuff. But it's just crazy, because if they have to miss a day of school, we're like, okay, we'll be here, and we'll still be working from home, and they'll just be right there with us. It's just a small inconvenience for us. So that's another example of just freedom. So look, y'all, time is winding down. This time flew by. Crazy. Hopefully you got a lot of value from this. Definitely just think about what we were saying about taking a look at your finances, seeing where you are, looking up, some type of book, plugging into some type of motivational speaker. All right, that would be good for you as well, because you have to start working on that mind every single day. Watch something that's going to motivate you. All right, get you thinking different so that you can start acting different. Going forward, we want you guys to make sure you ask questions. We want to make it really interactive. We want you to ask questions, leave feedback in the comments. We can only get better, what I like to say. And then there's one more thing. Catch us every single Thursday.
Absolutely.
Every Thursday around this same time, you guys, you will catch us on this radio show, all right, The Den. So we're super excited. Yeah.
Absolutely, because we are royalty, and when we say we are royalty, that means you are royalty as well. So hopefully we gave you some value, much more value to come. But when we say that we are royalty, I'm gonna just conclude with something that I like to share with our network of people, who are already understanding that they are royalty as well. And this is what you got to understand. This is the mentality. You see, we live in a world where we're conditioned for failure and oftentimes programmed or fooled into mediocrity. So people find themselves living like peasants instead of the royalty that they were meant to be. But you see, here in our royalty movement, we see the king in you, we see the queen in you from start to finish. It's time for you to take your seat on the throne, because this is where we uplift your character, your confidence, and your cash flow. As royalty, you should establish a solid financial foundation that'll soon lead to your abundance and thriving empire. Take your seat on the throne. We are royalty.
All right. So, yes. See you guys soon. Bye.